What's up, wonderful people in the exocad world? I'm going to show you guys how we could create a organically shaped reduced bar structure with superstructure cut. To do that, you need to have in your scene a merged part that has been already created, and it needs to be a monolithic merged part here created using the waxup anatomic waxup module. In this particular case, direct to MUA. And from this particular spot, we're at the end of the design and we have our finished prosthesis, which is our merged part right here. And we're going to go ahead and save that out. We're in expert mode, by the way. So I'm going to right click the screen, save scene as, plain STL. I'm going to call this my monolithic part. And I'm going to go ahead and call it patient's name, and we'll hit save. Save scene as, visible objects only, yes, and then the default coordinate system. It's important that when you were saving that you didn't have any hidden parts accidentally in the scene, like perhaps like a minimum thickness bubble or maybe a screw channel or an abutment that was perhaps on. You want nothing else on except the merged finished restoration. Once you've saved that, we're going to go ahead and hit delete reconstruction, find the merged part. See down here, merged part, hit OK. So now we're looking at our designed part here, which should be in the scene, assuming that you created this using anatomic waxup. So now you need to go to Tools and go to Change Reconstruction Type. Click on one of the teeth and hit Yes. It's going to create a reduced waxup. Click OK, and then right-click and hit on here. We're going to go to Anatomic Reduction. Depth of about 2 millimeters is great. Exclude selective parts. Let's just clear, mark all, and then brush size somewhere in the middle. And let me just make this opaque so you can see what we're doing. We're going to hold Shift on the keyboard to melt away some of this material. And where you see that blue line is where that bar would be visible. So keep that in mind as you're creating this. Keep into consideration the patient's lip line. Some cases you could have a little overlap like I have here. In some cases you can't. Okay, so then on the lingual, what we're going to do is transition to a more thick bar like that, and a nice domed shaped structure here. Maybe like that. And then we eliminate the rest of the blue. Just like that. This is super easy, guys. I can't even tell you when I'm not going super slow. I don't know. It's a 10-15 minute design. I'm just going to smooth this line up. It's important not to have jaggedy, sharp lines. And on your lingual, you might choose to come higher up for your bar, like that, if you wanted a thicker, beefier bar, or you might choose to come down low. It's really all up to you guys. Okay, now make sure you have no islands of blue anywhere on the prosthesis, and go ahead and hit apply. Now what it's doing is it's going to now create another surface here under design parts, and it's going to shrink down into this quite terrible reduction bar with some errors. It always has these little errors, like here you'll see spikes and blebs and folds and creases. Click OK. We're going to right click and hit edit mesh. I do want to caution you guys, I'm going to turn everything off so you could see. Notice how the intaglio of the bar has openings, holes. You do not want to close those holes. So keep that in mind as we're cutting this bar. hold shift on your keyboard and you're going to create a spline line, and then go ahead and go back around, but don't close this right here and hit delete. You're going to create a nice flat open bar. On this side, I need to actually delete a little bit more. Very common to maybe have to split this up just like that. Now I want to say I did not invent this technique. There's people much smarter than me that invented this technique. I'm just showing you guys how to do it with the twist at the end that makes it more predictable. So now we need to close this hole, but we don't want to circle the whole thing and close these holes. That'll create an error in the end. So you just want to make sure when you circle this that you have an orange band all the way around, just like that. And we're going to hit close hole. And we want to make sure we did not close any of those. We're going to click OK. And now we're going to go click that and go to freeform. In freeform, it's really easy. We're going to go ahead and smooth flatten all of this. Okay. Flatten that back there a little bit. I'm holding shift for those of you guys who are new to the smooth flatten tool. If you hold shift on your keyboard, it flattens. Okay, it's super easy to do. And you're just flattening out this bar, trying to avoid the border here. And I'm going to go ahead now and also smooth some weird areas that I have back here. That's created when I did my original monolithic part. That this won't mill very well with the crease in it. Okay. Then from here, so it should be really flat. I'm going to go ahead and go to anatomic, paint and pull 2 millimeters ish for the size here, 1.5 here ish. Play around with it, see what you like. I'm going to actually go to my design parts and ghost over my anatomic, and I'm going to go right into the central grooves, right into cingulums, back to my central grooves, just like that. And I have this painted bar, and what I'm going to do now is go to pull, and I'm going to drag it up like that. Okay, and you could go anterior, posterior with it. One thing that's kind of cool is if you actually come back here and you turn back on your part, your anatomic wax up, 50% power, we could see where we are in relation. And check this out. If I hold control on my keyboard, I could angle this bar anterior posteriorly. We're looking pretty good here. Okay, I want to make sure I have enough thickness. See, so I think I need to actually rotate these sides evenly. See, I can hold control and rotate. And I could also make sure I have no holes sticking through. So I do a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and move those a little facial like that. Looking good. You don't want to rush this part. You don't want to make the mistake of making a bar that's going to compromise the integrity of your superstructure. So you can see here, if I turn it opaque, I have holes in my superstructure from where my bar is too long here in the anterior. I'm going to shorten that up, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to my free tool. And now I'm going to smooth. So I'm going to go to my smooth flatten. First thing that I'm going to do is change my brush. I'm just going to flatten this in the anterior here. Create more of a round shape versus a square shape like that. Put my brush size a little bit smaller. Smooth this border a little bit like that. Now, anywhere that you have these red thin areas, go ahead and add a little bit of material using the bigger tool size than you think, and then smooth it up. So go ahead and add these straight up like that. And I'm going to smooth those up. Just like that. Now, what you could do if you wanted to go nuts, you could come in here and you could accentuate borders like this. Just make sure you don't cause any undercuts. And you could define borders of the bar. I typically don't do this. I'm just trying to show you guys. You do have complete freedom. And then you could follow it up with a little bit of a smooth, like that. Depending on what shapes you guys want for your bar. Oftentimes I like to flatten these areas, especially if you have a implant that is not in a good position. You could hold your flatten tool down like this and create little flat areas that go off onto the implant extensions. And there we have it. A pretty easy, quick bar. Okay, so once you have your bar shape, you're going to check for any imperfections that might be very difficult to machine. Any creases or ripples in this margin that might be near impossible. You're just going to smooth them up a little bit. Be careful though, because the more you jingle jangle this, the more difficult it's going to be to subtract your superstructure because you're making profound changes here. So there we go. That looks good. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to turn on my jaw scan and I'm going to right click, save scene as. I'm going to do it as an OBJ, object file. I'm going to call this subtract file. Download, save scene, visible, yes, default. And then I'm going to go let that save. I'm going to right click and hit merge and save. And the software is now going to cut my implant locations just like that. And now I have a little bar with little MUAs here, direct to MUA with my screw channels here. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you have optimized for 3D printing here in case you want to selective laser melt that or print it. You could mill it or print it. Click OK. And we're going to save this bar out. It already is saved, but we're going to save it as a visualization file for later on. Right click, save scene as, plain STL. I'm going to call this fit checker bar. Downloads, visible, yes, default, yep. And we're going to go ahead and make sure we save up here and we close this scene out. And we're almost done, guys. We're going to exit out, hit new. Default, I'm going to call this superstructure. Click any tooth. We're going to go to mockup, 3D print, click OK. Get rid of this antagonist, save, and design. Now, mockup module has the most powerful boolean tool in all of exocad that never once has error out on me ever. So we're going to load in our subtract file. There it is in all its glorious beauty. We're going to go ahead and hit next. Change the path of insertion here to where you minimize undercut, so set from view. Maybe I got to go a little bit like this. Any little minor undercuts will be automatically blocked out. Now this is cool, guys. Check this out. We're going to go ahead and change our fit. I want a 100 micron gap. I'll do 0% smoothing, tool diameter. This is if you're milling, 1.2 millimeters is what you would pick. If you're printing the superstructure, you could go down to 0.1 for 100 microns. Block out undercuts. We don't want any undercuts allowed. And hit apply. What it's going to do, it's going to generate a blockout model, a virtual wax up bottom of this bar, which will then enable us to subtract that from our superstructure that we're going to create using the old monolithic file that we saved. So check this out. This is super cool. This is fast. Like, and I'm telling you guys, in real time, I'm not teaching. This is, I don't know, 10 minutes on the average case. Okay. Now, this is kind of cool. What we need to do is go to freeform, add remove, and we could actually hold shift and just, we're going to remove that 100 micron band of wax that it put right here at the border. This is your margin ramp. This is your from margin. So we're just going to remove that little bit of 100 microns of wax. This way we can make a seamless fit right here, just like that. Hit next. And now it wants us to wax this case, but we already waxed it. So we're going to go to Expert, Tools, Add, Remove. This is so easy. We're going to go to Wax Up, Load, and we're going to load our monolithic part. Hit Yes, click OK. So cool. Now click on it, right click and hit Wax Up Calculation. Click OK. Click it and go to Freeform. Do not do this in the wizard. Oh, I love it. I love it. So turn on your virtual wax up bottom and check your fit. So look for things like this. This is because if you remember, I edited that bar file. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove some wax there. I'm going to add a little bit right there. This is the fit of the superstructure on your, that's perfect there on the facial. Looks okay. And sometimes you might find you need to edit some things. This is the material thickness here you could change to look at any weak points you might have in your superstructure. I'm feeling okay about that though. That doesn't scare me. And let's say just around this, if you wanted to add material, you got to be careful. This is one of the weak points. You'd see, you don't want to distort that screw channel. Okay, so you just got to be careful when you add. You're going to go to Free, Adapt, and the last step is to cut to the jaw scan. And this is the Boolean operation, is going to slice your superstructure to fit your virtual wax up bottom. Let's check and see how it did. I'm going to turn everything off. This is the superstructure file. I'm going to click OK. There it is in all its glorious beauty. Now, what we could do is we could check and see how our bar will fit by loading the original bar. So I'm going to go to Tools, Add Remove Mesh. Let's just call it a gingiva load fit checker. Hit Yes, click OK. And I'm going to go True Smile here so we can see the difference. There is our bar in pink and our superstructure. We could check all of our different fit out by using our tools here. For example, cut view. We could slice anywhere on this and we could check, drag it, control to rotate it. And you could check your fit, dragging it along. Another cool way is to go to Tools, Sectional View, and you could actually get this really cool kind of slice of your bar through your wax up, and you could change different views as well. But that is, in a nutshell, how we create these organically shaped bars in exocad. And look, if I could do it, you could do it because you're going to be better. You have the ability to do this, and incredible things can happen when you learn these workflows and you open up different opportunities for your team to create different types of prosthetics. Yeah, I hope this helps you guys, and I can't wait to see what you do with it.